You know, Alice and I are always looking to be more healthy, and we were just talking about how fasting is one of the best ways to do that. But it's so hard. But the great thing about Prolon is that's not what you're doing. It's not that you're not eating for 5 days. Instead, you're using their science-backed program to convince your body you're fasting.
You guys, this 5-day program really is amazing. It comes beautifully packaged and it does all the thinking for you. Each day is its own box. And by following their program, I know I just feel so much better. And I can't wait to experience Prolon Next Gen and continue to see results. For a limited time, you can be first in line to experience the new Next Gen at special savings. Prolon is offering the Prosecutors listeners 15% off site-wide plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just visit prolonlife.com/prosecutors. That's PROLONLIFE.com/prosecutors to claim your 15% discount and your bonus gift. prolonlife.com/prosecutors.
I'm Brett,
And I'm Alice.
and we are the Prosecutors. Today on the Prosecutors, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of The Prosecutors. I'm Brett, and I'm joined, as always, by my award-winning co-host, Alice.
Brett, I can't even respond to that because the award we're about to thank everyone for truly does not belong to us. And if you listen to this tiny little episode, you'll understand why. We are just bursting with gratitude. And while we get to hold this award, it is not ours alone. And we are just here to say thank you. But right back at you to my fellow award-winning co-host, Brett.
Well, thank you, Alice. And for those of you who don't know, Alice and I, we went to CrimeCon this year, had a great time, and then had the surprise of a lifetime, I guess, when we won the 2023 Clue Awards People's Choice Award for Creator of the Year, which we knew we were nominated for it, and that was great. And that was a wonderful thing. And then all of a sudden, Lisa Simpson's up there on the stand, and she's opening an envelope and announcing our names as the winner. And it was truly one of the most shocking, surprising things that has ever happened to me.
I mean, truly, we cannot emphasize this enough. The two of us, we Brett was wearing a t-shirt, for goodness sakes. We were not dressed up. We were sat back. I was stuffing my face with food because we hadn't found food all day. So I was really hungry. I was just focused on getting another piece of dessert. And we were not expecting to win at all, to the point where when they said it, Brett and I looked at each other, and I think both of us started laughing because we thought it was like a prank.
Yeah, it's like that Oscars where they announced the wrong winner. And I was like just fully expecting something like that to have happened. But like I said, we were so blessed to do it. We got up there on stage. We both blacked out. I'm not sure what I said. I sounded like a crazy person. Alice sounded like the poised, confident person she always is, which of course she did. But we had a few minutes, and we thanked some people who mean a lot to us and who have been critical to this entire thing. But we did not have anywhere near enough time to thank everyone who is responsible for this. And that's what we wanted to do today. We wanted to take a moment to thank everybody who helped us get here. Because if there's one thing that is 100% true, it's you don't get anywhere without help. And we have had so much help on this podcast and getting it into your ears, which is the biggest thing. People always ask me, how do you get people to listen? I have no idea. But we have been very fortunate to have people who already had listeners who sort of took us under their wing and helped us out.
Absolutely, Brett. And, thank you guys for listening to this part because, let's just start at the beginning. Brett, when we started this podcast, we didn't know anyone who had a podcast personally. I barely knew what a podcast was, to be totally honest. We didn't have the equipment, but we just started DMing people who didn't know us, who probably have lots of fans and they get probably hundreds, thousands of messages, but we wrote people and just said, hi, we're starting a podcast. Can you mention it? Would you like to talk to us? And so many people said yes. People who we now understand better should not have wasted their time on us, took the time to stop and help us. And, one of the first ones I want to mention is Cheryl McCollum, because if you heard our first episode, she was on one of our first episodes. And how that came about, we didn't know who Cheryl McCollum was. I was researching people who worked in the field and did good work, and Cheryl McCollum's name came up, not even in the context of being on a podcast, being part of CrimeCon, being on TV. I didn't know she was Emmy Award winning. I literally just saw her institute, saw the good work they did, and thought, she seems like a nice lady. Maybe she'll talk to us one night. And we emailed her and she immediately said yes. And we didn't have a recording equipment. She called us. The recording quality was terrible. It was late at night. We didn't know that she, taught all hours of the night and she was making time to talk to us. It wasn't until probably, Brett, months later that I realized what a huge deal Cheryl McCollum was. But since that moment that she appeared on our show and became one of our biggest supporters. She drives people to our show. She mentions us. She pumps us up. And most of all, she is a friend. She is a friend who encourages in a space that could be cutthroat. And she probably single-handedly makes this arena the kind place that it is, not just for us, but for so many others out there.
Yeah, when we walked out after winning our award, so the thing they do is they take you backstage where you get to take a picture with whoever gave it to you. In our case, it was Small Town Dicks, which is an awesome podcast, obviously. And we took a picture with them, and then we walked out, and who was waiting there? Cheryl McCollum. It was so perfect. And yes, I can't even believe it that she is just so gracious. But she's one of the most gracious people around. If you haven't listened to her new podcast, Zone 7, check it out. It's amazing. And she wasn't the only one. When we started this, one of the first episodes we did was Maura Murray. And the just most recognizable names in podcasting when you talk about Maura Murray are Tim and Lance with the Missing podcast. And for reasons that I still don't understand, we covered that case and they reached out to us and were like, hey guys, do y'all want to be on our show? I remember they emailed us and they wanted us to get on a phone call with them. And I was so nervous about it because it was like talking to your heroes. and we talked to them and we were on their show several times in those early days. And there's no telling how many people listen to the show because of them.
I mean, we nicknamed them our pod fathers for a reason. They showed us the way. I mean, we asked them every question under the sun about podcasts. Like, how do you edit? How do you, publish things? And they were so generous with their time when they hardly even knew us. And we thank them to this day. They were one of the first people to give us a hug after we received the award. And we count them as good friends now and are just so thankful for those early days when they took a risk on us and continued to pump us up after we moved on from Maura Murray in terms of episodes.
Another person who did that was James Renner. James Renner, who's obviously he's very famous. He's very controversial in the Maura Murray world, but whatever. When it came to us, he was willing, even though we disagreed with him. Like, we didn't agree with him on the final theory, but he was tweeting out our episodes and telling people to listen. And I think there's several people like that who didn't always agree with us on everything, but they were friends and they helped us out. And I'll talk about two people right now who I consider to be friends beyond just podcasting. One of them's Maggie Freeling, who is amazing and does amazing work. And those of you who listen to any of her podcasts know that. And Maggie and I and Alice don't agree on everything. We've agreed on cases before, but we don't agree on everything. But I'll tell you who listens to every one of our episodes and is always texting me about them is Maggie. And Maggie was helping us and bringing us on her show. Once again, when we were nobody, taking that opportunity, taking that chance. on us. And Maggie's amazing, and I love her.
And I think Maggie is such an awesome example of having respectful dialogue when you disagree. Like, on the surface, you would think that the two podcasts or the two of us wouldn't have a lot to talk about or a lot to talk about nicely. But she was the one who just reaches out repeatedly and is an incredible friend to us, not just a fellow podcast friend, but like a true friend. And so, man, Maggie, and she shares her research and she asks us for our take to make sure that she's doing unbiased reporting as well. I just couldn't say enough good things about Maggie and how much she has supported us, both in the podcast world, but also in friendship.
And Heather Ashley is another person from Big Mad True Crime who is a true friend. And we love seeing her at CrimeCon. And she was talking about us in the early days, too. And the thing is, the thing I love about the podcasting community is none of these people had to do this. There was no great gain for them. This wasn't transactional. You know, these were just people who heard something they liked and were willing to help out. And it just, I don't know, the whole thing kind of blows my mind. And Heather has been someone who, like Alice was saying about Maggie, talk about sharing research. I mean, sometimes I'll ask her about a case and she's like, I'll just send you everything I have. And that's incredible. But that's the kind of person she is.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been so fun to see these friendships develop over years of meeting at different conventions. And Heather Ashley is absolutely one of those amazing friends. And what is wonderful about these strong female podcasters, I love this. They're all supporting each other, right? Sometimes we get bad reps as women of not building up other women. Well, I will tell you, Maggie and Heather, you guys are some of the best pumper uppers of other podcasts and especially of other women owned businesses, women hosted podcasts. And you absolutely just set the bar for good human beings and good podcasters.
And some other, women-led podcasts that reached out to us. Women in Crime, we did episodes with them, had so much fun with them, saw them at CrimeCon this year, want to get back together with them. Two of the biggest podcasts in the world, Morbid and Red Handed. Now, Morbid and Red Handed, you talk about people who didn't need anything from us, but both of them, when they covered cases we covered, and they had listened to our episodes, mentioned that fact and talked about that fact. I think Morbid covered the Mary Morris murders, and they didn't have to do that. Like, they could have listened to the podcast and not mentioned the tiny little prosecutors when they're like one of the biggest podcasts in the world, but they did. And it's that kind of integrity that just kind of blows my mind. And another two guys that changing genders here, which is like, my first true crime love was True Crime Garage. I love True Crime Garage. You guys know that. I love the captain. I love Nick. I love them both. I love all their stuff. And when they reached out to us, and the captain, who loves to needle me, but nevertheless hung out with us and Maggie very early on for hours. We talked to the captain for hours.
That was like a 4-hour get vocal.
By the end of it, I had drank so much bourbon, I don't even really remember the end of it. But it was incredible. And on that Get Vocal, we mentioned to the captain the Aisha Degree case, which we had just covered. And we said, hey, you guys should really do this because y'all reach so many people. And he said he would. And he was absolutely serious. And they covered that like a few months later. And when they did it, they mentioned us, which once again, they didn't have to do. And it just blows my mind. Crime Weekly, amazing podcast, huge podcast. I've always been supportive and have been vocally supportive. The least of these, great podcast if you're not listening to it. STS Nation, which had us on to talk about things. I mean, it just my mind is blown by all the support. And it just goes to show, as Alice was saying, and we're not even done, but as Alice was saying, this award means so much to us. It means so much to us. And one of the reasons is because of how many people helped us to get it.
Absolutely. And, now I'm getting nervous, even though we've had a little bit of time to think about who to thank, is that I'm sure we're not mentioning all the amazing podcasts who've mentioned us or told their listeners to listen to us. But just hearing this entire list that you've just said, Brett, gives me chills because it's really become a podcast family. We got a lot of these podcasts together to take pictures when we were at CrimeCon, and we all joked that we were like fielding some sort of like basketball team or something because there were so many of us, but it was genuine. We were truly there to support each other and to share ideas. And it was just such an incredible community. There was absolutely no competition suspicion and no, it was just so friendly and so warm and exactly kind of what we need in this space, because we're all in it for the right reasons, for the victims, and to reach a greater understanding of some of the most tragic and chaotic times in someone's life which could, very easily be our own. And to have this shared mission and to be doing it together, to be swimming in the same direction with all of these amazing creators is just an incredible privilege to be a part of. And of course, we haven't mentioned yet, but one of our good friends and also an amazing podcaster, Bob Motta of Defense Diaries. He also co-hosts it with his wife, Allison, another fantastic attorney. It's been so fun, again, to have that discourse. He's obviously a defense counsel. We're prosecutors, and we have this great dialogue all the time. We talk about cases together. We're on shows together, and we text on the regular as well about our thoughts on different cases as they come out. This type of camaraderie across the aisles, across different sides of the V in court cases, is really the gold standard of how you want to be able to interact with other lawyers, especially, and certainly with other podcasters. And Bob Motta is certainly one of those for us.
Bob was well-deserved nomination in the same category we were in, and he was one of the first people to congratulate us when we won. Bob's a great guy. Defense Diaries is a great show. And it's just so awesome, because this would not be fun if it were not like this. And I remember people have asked us on Get Vocals and other things, which we need to do a Get Vocals soon. But they've asked us, like, have you found podcasting to have a lot of drama and all sort of stuff? And we're like, no, not at all, which always surprises people because we haven't actually found that. We have found it to just be an incredible community of people really trying to lift each other up.
And another example of that is Murder Sheet. I mean, they really are the ones reporting on the ground on the Delphi case, which is one of the hottest cases. And whenever we cover it, we're covering it from an outsider perspective. We don't live in Indiana. We don't know the characters who are involved, the prosecutors, the judge, the witnesses, but Murder Sheet, they do. And instead of kind of keeping this very interesting case that has captured the nation, the world, to themselves, they are so generous with our time, appearing on our show, having us on their show, giving us insights into the case when they could just hold it tightly, but instead they hold all of it with open hands, which just goes to show, how much integrity they have in covering the Delphi case and in helping us understand it so that our coverage can be better. And it's one of those things where the way they absolutely act in a way where it's like it lifts all boats. They want everyone's reporting to be better on the case because it serves the girls better.
And then, of course, I remember early on we got an email and somebody asked us a question, and it was like, Brett and Alice or whoever on their team is answering emails. And Alice and I laughed at the notion that we would have a team, that the team would be anybody other than just the two of us. But the crazy thing is we now have a team and they are awesome. And this award is as much theirs as anybody's. And that starts with Hannah Hill, who way back in the day,
one of the first episodes, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we had been doing this for not very long at all. We probably had 100 people listening to us.
We had maybe 10 downloads total.
Yeah, exactly. And Hannah reaches out and says, hey, I really like your podcast. I'm an artist and I'd love to do art for it. Volunteered to do art for it. And I said, well, we have no money, so we can't pay you anything. She's like, that's fine. And I said, well, okay. I told Alice, I was like, well, I guess we got nothing to lose if she wants to do it and she's willing to do it for free. And then within the first week, she had churned out like 10 back catalog art. It wasn't just going forward. It was things we'd already done. And they were all amazing. And we were just completely blown away by it.
And she's such a talented artist. Like we didn't know that she was so talented, to be totally honest. I mean, I looked at her work and it was like, wow, this is good. But the way she captures the photo for each of our cases is nowhere shy of pure genius. We don't tell Hannah what to cover. The artwork you see is absolutely her. We give her the name of the case and that's it. We don't tell her, Pineapple Bowl for John Bonet. We don't tell her Bridge for Delphi. Nothing. We literally tell her the name of the case and she runs with it. And when she comes back, she distills down any case, no matter how complex, to the single most striking and important moment. She is truly one of the most brilliant artists I've ever seen, because I've seen the way she distills these cases into one frame that can stop you in your tracks. And we hear so many fans who say just that to us. Wow, that artwork. We still hear it. Just about every week, someone will comment on the artwork and how stunning it is. And for her to have that much talent and just email us out of the blue to help us because she wanted to was incredible. And she is just such a huge part of this family. And I have to mention one thing. Our very first CrimeCon, we had no idea what we were doing. We didn't have any sort of giveaways. We didn't have a tablecloth. We didn't know what you were supposed to bring. And without us saying anything, Hannah made like stickers and cards for us and just had it shipped to our houses to bring. She's like, I think you might want to bring something to CrimeCon. And she was absolutely right, because we didn't know we were supposed to do that. And she took care of us from the very beginning to make sure that people heard about these cases and also that the artwork really struck a chord and made sure to highlight the victims and to highlight the cases in and of themselves.
And it's kind of wild. I've never met Hannah. I've never talked to her on the phone. We literally have just emailed with her, and she's awesome. I hopefully one day we will meet with her. And obviously, once Audio Boom came along, which is another group of people we need to thank, and we actually started selling ads. I'm sorry, all of you who hate ads. We started selling ads and everything. We were actually able to pay Hannah nowhere near what she's worth, I'm sure. And I hope you guys, if you love the show and you love her art, check out the stuff she's doing, because she does beautiful things, just haunting stuff. I have a couple pieces of hers. I love it. If I would buy every single thing she does, but she's amazing, and just her artwork takes everything to another level. It really does. It's just, as I've said before, there are episodes where the artwork is the best part. Even really good episodes, sometimes the artwork is the best part. And we love her, and we're so grateful to have her. And another person we're grateful to have is Jason Usry, our good buddy who we have met. Some of you know him as Santa Claus. He has the best true crime satire podcast in the world. Santa May Be a Criminal. If you're not listening to it, you need to start listening to it. Every single true crime podcaster that you like has appeared as a character in his incredibly written, hilarious show. So I hope you'll check it out. But what he does for us is the editing. I had to do the editing for really until the last CrimeCon. It was CrimeCon Vegas where Jason and I talked about it, and he decided to come on as an editor. Before that, I edited every episode, and I have no idea how I did that, because that was a lot of work.
And I couldn't help him, because you all know how illiterate I am with technology. If I helped, nothing would have been produced at all.
And I barely understand that stuff. So now we have a professional. Jason's a professional. He's amazing. If you like the sound in the episodes for the last year or so, it's all Jason. If you're out there looking for somebody to do it, the man, people sometimes ask when I sleep. I don't know, but Jason, when I'm asleep, Jason is usually emailing me something. So I have no idea when he sleeps. He's a great guy. He's a great friend, and he's an Alabama fan. Roll Tide, Jason. That's the best part about him. But we couldn't do it without him, and he is absolutely a part of this show. And then our latest addition, I'm only going to call her Madison, because I don't know if she wants me to use her full name or not, but she has come on board as a researcher, and she is also doing a fantastic job and freeing up some time for us and not having to do maybe the most basic stuff. I mean, she does more than the most basic stuff, but the fact of the matter is, when you're doing these podcasts, the thing that takes the longest is just setting up the episode. So just the fact that she helps do that, we can then dive in as well and make sure we're getting all the details that we want in there. But she's helping us produce the episodes, particularly the one-off episodes. And it really frees up time for us to do the things where our talents are better, like reading trial transcripts and 10-episode things. And so we're so glad to have her, and she has made our life so much better.
Yes, we have the best team. And by the way, all of these people, we didn't even go out and look for them or use like some sort of recruiting service. Somehow we lucked out, Brett, that these people reached out to us and they just were like the best people for the job. We are terrible, right? Like we don't do an interview process. We don't do a screening process. We kind of trust blindly, but we have been sent these incredible people that if we were to go out and seek the best editor, the best artist, the best researchers, I'm not sure we could have even found them. So we are just so blessed to have them on our team. And then, after we were with Audio Boom, Podcast One took a chance on us as well and brought us onto their network. And we have been so thankful for their support as well and being a part of their network. And Brett, we know that none of this for the past 3.5 years would have been possible whatsoever if one of our spouses pulled the plug on it. Because this is a lot of time we've taken away from kids, from helping clean up after dinner, from just time to chill on the couch, after the kids go to bed. It has been an absolute gift that our spouses have made space for us, not just made space for us to do the podcast, but have actively encouraged us. They are on the lives. They are on the chats. They are texting us ideas for shows. They are rooting us on. I mean, I think they cheered the loudest of anyone when we won this award. And truly, we are so thankful to our spouses. I love your wife. She's one of my best friends, and I'm just so blessed by both of your friendships and so thankful that we have such smart people behind us who make sure that what we're putting out there is quality content too.
No, it's 100% true. We could not do it without them. They're absolutely amazing. And, our cup overfloweth on this podcast because it's just, we started off with a very small family. It was the four of us, right? And our kids. But as far as the podcast go, it was the four of us. We were all going to do this together. I don't know if they realized what they were getting themselves into, but they were always supportive of it. And that family has grown to include all of you. And the ultimate thanks has to go to you. And the thing that I love about this award is it wasn't a bunch of other podcasts that gave it to us, though that would have been great, or the press that gave it to us, or the media that gave it to us. It was a People's Choice Award. We won this award because you guys who take time out of your day to listen to us decided to vote for us over all the other amazing options that you had. You chose us. And we'll never forget that. And we won't forget that we wouldn't be here without you guys. And we'll never stop working to give you the very best podcast we can give you to honor the fact that you have put your trust and faith and time into us.
Yeah, Brett, when we were at CrimeCon, we did a live show and hundreds of people showed up, which blew me away. I couldn't believe people took time out of their very full, weekend of events to come sit in on our show for an hour. And I think someone had asked, what was the most surprising thing that came out of the podcast? And I think it was, they were asking about a case. And honestly, the most surprising and unexpected blessing from this entire incredibly exciting adventure the past 3.5 years has been the community of listeners. I wouldn't even call it fans because I don't see it that way. I see it as we are all in this together. We look at these cases together. We always say, write us with your questions, write us with your thoughts, and we read them all. I see this as a collaborative effort where we are having these intellectual conversations and debates about what the evidence shows with all of you. And that has been so enriching. It started out when there was no one listening, me getting to talk about these really interesting cases with Brett. Now it feels like we're talking with thousands of you who have expertise in areas that we don't have in the medical field, as beat cops, as psychiatrists, as all these different professions that can lend a different perspective and a different expertise to the cases we cover. And it makes us better. And that's why this award is all of y'all's award, because what you're telling us basically is that you guys are helping to create the podcast that you are all wanting to hear. And we will honor that and continue to do this.
Yeah, when we appeared on our buddy Jason Blair, who's another person who's become a real friend, his podcast, Silver Linings Handbook, we talked about the thing that we love the most about this is the community. That is the thing that matters the most to us. And that just, like I said, the fact that this award comes from that community, it blows my mind. And we are so thankful to all of you guys. And so we wanted to do this episode to thank you. Maybe this was boring. I don't know. But it meant a lot to us to let you know how much we appreciate you guys And, we can't wait to see you in Nashville.
We'll definitely be there. And Brett, thanks for being the best co-host ever and for taking a chance on me when you asked me. It was you didn't know it was going to be a multi-year commitment, that you're going to be tied to me for a very long time in spending hours a week together and hopefully years to come together as well. So thank you too.
You are the very best, Alice. Thank you for being willing to trust me and to do this. And, I don't know why I thought it would work out okay. I guess I figured probably nobody would listen and we'd do it for a little while and it'd be fun. And then we just kind of move on. But here we are, 3 years later. By the time we do the next CrimeCon, it'll be 4 years, which just, I was telling Alice, I can remember sitting on her couch in her house talking about doing this and saying, we're going to call it The Prosecutors. And deciding to do this show.
If we thought it was going to go somewhere, we probably would have thought about the name a little bit more.
It's very descriptive.
It's very descriptive.
All right. Well, once again, thank you guys so much. We promise we won't dwell on this too much, but we did want to take this opportunity to thank you. Alice, before we sign off for tonight, is there anything else you want to say?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We love you guys so much.
We absolutely love you. And what I love even more is that when we release this, it'll almost be October. So get ready. All right, guys. Well, y'all are the best. We love you to death. And the next time you hear us, we'll be back to talking true crime like we always do. Reach out to us, prosecutorspod@gmail.com. If you want to hear a story, email us there. A lot of you guys ask how to do that. That's the best way. prosecutorspod@gmail.com. Thank you again. We'll be back next week. But until then, I'm Brett.
And I'm Alice.
And we are the Prosecutors. Okay.
You always yell at me for wanting to record, but I'm like, this is hilarious.
I'm not yelling at you. I was just, Okay. Okay, you ready to do this then?
I'm a little emotional.
I know. I'm a little emotional too. Okay, here we go.
Winner is...
I have the winner. The winner is the Prosecutors, Alice McCord and Brett Talley.
Oh my goodness. Thank you guys first for this. I mean, I don't know. I want to thank my wife because we couldn't do it without her, because she's the one who's taking care of the kids when we're recording. Jason Usry, who does the editing. Hannah Hill, who does the awesome artwork. Go buy her stuff. And you guys, I love you guys. I can't believe this. This is shocking.
This is beyond shocking. We don't deserve to be up here because all of those nominees are our favorites. And so thank you for just, giving us the ability to dive through what we thought you guys would think to be boring evidence, and to give us hope that people care about the evidence and have critical thinking skills. And this is how we want to go about our cases, and how all of you join in on these cases with us. And thank you to the best co-host of all time, Brett, and of course my husband, because he is taking care of lots of kids right now. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Are you looking for a new job or want a career change? Look no further than Monster.com. Need a little help standing out? Our expert resume writing services will make sure you shine. Want to brush up on your interview skills? Engage with our AI interview prep tool. Want some advice on negotiating your new salary? Visit our salary tools and extensive library of career advice articles, and you'll have all the tips and tricks you'll need to succeed. Visit Monster.com today and take the first step towards your career. Monster.com. Find your right job fit.